I
There we
run
go.
it. Swear to
Okay,
God.
so hi everybody. Welcome to the Sean Atwood channel. Ron will be back in a second. Paula is going to be with you, and I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Yeah, there we go. Don't worry, guys. Ron is coming. So we're going to talk today about Harvey Weinstein and apparently how he was set up. And we want to hear what you have to say a lot because it goes to the Me Too movement. I apologize for my face being red. It's just the lupus kicking up. So this is why I'm putting slutty lipstick to match it. So yes, guys, we're going to talk today about Harvey Weinstein. What does it mean for that if they lied about him? What does that mean if a man can be wrongly convicted with such little, or anybody really, with no proof, or just on the word of a say so? Does the victim always have to be believed, or should we always investigate? It's gonna. And we want to hear what you have to say because it is insane. This man has been behind bars for since 2020, and I don't know if you watched the Candace Owens interview with Harvey Weinstein. To me, he came across very credible. Hi.
Wait, hang on. One, you're looking fabulous today, Paula. Oh no, I know why.
No. It has nothing to do with that. It really has
No,
nothing to do with that. I
you're
actually
gonna.
have a crush on this doctor, and I was at the doctor's
Doctor.
office early this morning.
Wait. That's way better. Like Paula's all dolled up, and she's got an interview after this, so I thought it was for that. But she's like, "No, there's this really hot doctor, and I had to go with the doctor this morning." Margie. Okay,
Of
I'm going to
course.
quickly have a quick puff of my cigarette outside, and then I'll be back.
You should really get that up. You should really get that disgusting vice up. Alcohol, I can understand. Get up and
Right?
do your thing. Disgusting.
Can you talk about you and tell everyone what you've got coming up? And then when
Oh,
we come back,
okay, yeah. No, but I also want to hear what people have to say about Harvey. I'm going to prep them up because.
Mr. Harvey, but Paula, talk about yourself for goddamn it.
Oh, okay, guys, listen. I have a live coming in an hour with Scott Rouse from the Behavior Panel. We're going to go hard on Meghan Markle and Harvey Weinstein's body language live, so you can ask questions live. He's amazing. He has his own channel now. It's Scott Rouse, so you can go watch him. But to me, I am absolutely. You know, one of the things that really bothers me is because when women lie, like Gwyneth Paltrow, because he debunked Gwyneth Paltrow, guys. Did you see that, guys? Did you guys see that? How he literally debunked Gwyneth Paltrow because Gwyneth Paltrow goes and says, "Oh yeah, and he made a pass at me, and he had more power than me." And then Harvey Weinstein goes, "What the hell?" He said, "No, no, no." You know, I was shocked. And I believe him. You know what? I believe him. And this is the thing with the Me Too movement. And this is the thing with the pile-ons that they have become so popular. We're gonna go hate for the sake of hating. Um don't tell me that I hate Meghan Markle because I don't hate her. I call out and I want to know the answers to some serious questions. Okay, that's the way it is. I do not like certain acts and behaviors, and I do not like to be gaslit. So that there's a huge difference, by the way. So, but it's incredible the pylon and how the justice system cater to that pylon of the Me Too movement, and how judges rather be popular than just. Do you know what I mean, guys? So it's always incredible. You know, it's also like I watched the Megyn Kelly, and she was calling out all these reporters who now they can see that there was something wrong with Joe Biden. You know, we were calling this for a long time. How can anybody? You know what gave it away for me? Well, other than the fact that he couldn't remember where he was, is the gate. When people with dementia or advanced Parkinson's, is anybody here? My first career was physical therapy. It was is the gait. They have that little gait, how they walk. And I was surprised that nobody was talking about it, you know? But yeah. So, but we're going back to, yeah, you can see you have to keep me on track, guys. It's your responsibility. Um, it's Harvey Weinstein. Can you imagine being him? If I were him, because all the convictions in New York, I think there were over 100, down, they're out. He should, in theory, be free because he's on retrial right now. He's on appeal. but apparently they have him at Rikers or something like that. Can you imagine? It's almost 5 years of his life. His reputation is done. And he's right. Being immoral, it doesn't make him illegal. He might be a pig, but he might be an immoral pig, but he might be a lawful one. What do you guys think? The Biden gate. Yes, exactly, Alexander Lintern. Exactly. You know. By the way, I have a big beef with you guys. You all lied to me. You all lied to me. You said the hearing aids were people couldn't see the hearing aids, and I was a moron. And I went to the doctor to see if I could get a hearing aid, and a Martian can see the bloody hearing aids from space. And you said that the hearing aids, oh, Paula, no, go get yourself a hearing aid because, they're small. Nobody can see them. Yes, they can. I can. I can even see the hearing aid without my glasses.
All right, Auntie
Screw that.
Paula.
I'd much rather not listen. Go.
Auntie, I'm going to bring Nova over and see our crazy Auntie Paula.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. I just want to reach out to her and eat her. Oh,
She's just a massive potato.
she's so cute. Oh, my goodness. Hello,
Can I give
little
everybody a smile?
What's that?
Hello, Nova. Nova. She's just scared.
Nah, she's overwhelmed. Hang
No,
on.
you guys lied to me. Charles KLG, you all lied to me. I went like an idiot to try and get a hearing aid. They look like a Martian can see it from space. You lied to me.
No. That's
I
some
screw that. I'd much
crazy.
rather go through life shouting and screaming than getting a hearing aid because
Not until
they're
she's tied down the sexy doctor. Once she ties down the sexy doctor, then she can get the hearing aid. Once that rings on her finger, then she'll get the mad hearing aid. Okay. But yeah, we can do that. But listen, so
age appropriate, by the way. He's 3 years older than me.
good. Well, listen, I've been making the argument that cases like the Weinstein case and the Lucy Letby case, they have horrible subject matter, right? It's abuse, it's the unaliving of children in Lucy Letby's case. But when it comes to justice, right, when it comes to fair trials and people being charged for the things that they're actually guilty of, and also victims actually getting justice in the case of Lucy Letby, obviously the parents, justice being for the right person. But some people don't like when cases are icky, when they have that, oh, I don't want to talk out against this feeling. But it's interesting what's going on with the Weinstein case because everything's been dropped but one charge, right? Like one situation, and Paula is going to shout at us about it for the next little while.
Well, no, if you could show actually the Candace, she's very generous. She doesn't copyright strike you or anything. She wants my publicity. But there's this clip I want to show you with Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know if you want me to show it.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, let me see which one.
I mean, as long as she doesn't like swear or take her top off.
No. He's no. I'm gonna mute myself so there's no extra sound. Okay.
Okay.
On Broadway that Ray Fiennes was in Hamlet, and Harvey was
Turn it
there,
up.
Brad Pitt. It was like the equivalent of throwing him against the wall, energetically. What he did was he leveraged his fame and power to protect me at a time when I didn't have fame or power yet.
Right. Wow. It moves you.
Yeah. It was fantastic. He said, if you ever make her feel uncomfortable again, I'll kill you, or something like that.
Why? Like, can we turn the volume up?
About my relationship with Gwyneth. I'm
Put it back to Gwyneth and turn the volume up.
Just say that
it was fantastic. Protect me.
Why is she whispering?
It was like the equivalent of throwing him against the wall, energetically. What he did was he leveraged his fame and power to protect me at a time when I didn't have fame or power yet.
Right. Wow. It moves you.
Yeah. It was fantastic. He said, if you ever make her feel uncomfortable again, I'll kill you, or something like that.
it's a complete fabrication, about my relationship with Gwyneth. I'm going to talk about it and just say that I had a meeting with her. She originally was scheduled to do Woody Allen's Everyone Says I Love You. Thank God I was distributing that movie as well. And I managed to substitute Drew Barrymore for Gwyneth so that Gwyneth could play Emma. And Woody Allen did us a real favor by doing that because we were scheduled to shoot Emma, and I wanted Gwyneth for the role. At the end of the meeting, we had a glass of champagne. As I was walking out the door, I said to her, "I'd love you to give me a massage." And she went, "Yeah." And, that was it. I didn't put my hand on her. I didn't touch her. I definitely made a pass, I guess, you could call it that. But that was the sum total of that situation. She did have Brad call me, and Brad, very manly, very cool, just said, "Don't do that again." And that was that. We made 11 movies together, classic films: Shakespeare in Love, Talented Mr. Ripley, Sliding Doors, just so many great movies and such a great partnership. And now I heard, that she thought the relationship was abusive. Anybody who was there who witnessed that relationship, it just turned into total friends. There's pictures of her hugging me when
Yeah.
I was sick, when I was sick and in the hospital and didn't think I was going to make it in 1999. Gwyneth at the Golden Globe said, "Bomber, we miss you." She got up and made a speech about me. Nobody asked her to do that. In her Academy speech, she thanks me. She's the daughter of a wealthy TV producer, a great man, and Blythe Danner, a great actress, with Steven Spielberg as her godfather. She doesn't have to she could have just said, "Harvey asked me for a massage. I'm never working for him again."
So I'm
Okay,
live, bro. I'll call you right back. Sorry about that. So, are we saying that Gwyneth, when she was interviewed, made up this thing that she was saying?
absolutely. All absolutely lies. Absolute lies. And the thing is that he's right. This is a woman whose godfather is Steven Spielberg. So when she says, "I had no power," that is absolute BS. Okay?
I just want to say there's a big difference between being a bit sleazy and making a pass at someone or saying
Yeah.
something, right? And being and essaying someone. All right. So
Yeah.
you can see though how it doesn't look good, and again, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know anything about it to great extent, the Harvey Weinstein case. I know that there was a massive outcry. The Me Too movement happened.
Oh, everybody went for him. And Oprah,
Mhm.
who was one of his dearest friends. I mean, I gotta tell you, but there's something seriously shady when this woman is always, like at some point one has to wonder and you have to stop and ask, because maybe having one friend who might be a little bit questionable, don't fucking make fun of me. My accent. Questionable is one thing. The second one is two. But when you have three or four, and let's not forget that she was buddy buddies with all of these men: Bill Cosby, Diddy, Weinstein, and Quincy Jones, among others.
Yeah, it's
Jay.
not. It's not a good friend. It's not a good party list of people. It's not a good guest list. You know what I'm saying?
And she's always at the center of these people. But what do you guys think on the chat? Do you believe him? I believe him, because don't forget that Gwyneth Paltrow was born privileged. To have Steven Spielberg be your godfather, I mean, and her father was incredibly well known, very wealthy man, and her mother is actress Blythe Danner. I mean, they were almost untouchable.
Exactly what sort of woman Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow will stare you in the eye, charge you $175 for energy vampire repellent. Okay, she will look you in the eye and sell you that from Goop. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you've got to understand.
Yeah, but this is why this woman doesn't care. This woman doesn't care. I mean, are you telling me this is the woman who's used to privilege? This is a woman who's used to, but for her to lie like that, because like he rightly says, they went on to make 11 movies. Why would you do? I wouldn't want to be around a man who's done that to me, not even for 1 second, because then that is a choice she made in order for money. That is a transaction. And this is one of the things that he says. Everything was transactional. They knew what they were doing. I didn't force them. And
Yeah.
that's the last one that he has. There's only
again,
one woman left.
Here's the thing, though, right? Are we living in a world where a woman can consent to something, but on the inside feel like she doesn't really want to do it. And because Harvey's her potential boss or movie producer and there's a dynamic of power, are we going to see this shift into, well, I didn't really mean yes, as a narrative? Because it sounds like that's what you're saying.
Well, no, because she didn't need to. She didn't need to. I mean, she was dating Brad Pitt. She was the it girl. But for her, she could have said he made a pass at me, but but she goes and elaborates and makes things up. I was a victim. I had no fame. Shut up. Your godfather, Steven Spielberg, you stupid cow. Just get out, sit in a corner, when your godfather is Steven Spielberg, she could have had Harvey Weinstein blacklisted. That's how powerful Steven Spielberg is.
Steven Spielberg, right? How can I put this on the Sean Atwood channel? There's nothing suspicious about Steven Spielberg.
Absolutely nothing. Now we're not alleging anything.
Not a dangerous and powerful man in Hollywood there's nothing suspicious about him having no social media. Don't look into any of his adopted kids. Nothing suspicious there. No trauma, nothing. Really swell guy. What happened on the set of all your movies, Spielberg, allegedly? Everything's fine. Swell guy.
But for her to, this is the thing that bothers me, the victim narrative, and the problem and then when she talks about California, and this is who Megan is trying to imitate them, the way they talk with that, what's it called, the vocal fry, because Megan's not talking like that, like California. No, just talk normal, shut up, just sit in a corner. So Gwyneth is trying to portray herself as this victim because she had no power. Do you know what it means? This is like having the queen as your godmother. Do you know how important you have to be to have the Queen of England be your godmother? Do you know how important and special you have to be for them to say?
Technically, anyone could declare her as the godmother. It's whether or not she accepts it or not. I'm sure the Queen had a lot of pending requests.
I can declare Wonder Woman the godmother of my son, but I mean, for real,
2025. If I can live my life identifying as a freaking potato, you can declare Wonder Woman as your godparent. I'm just saying, it's a beautiful.
You know what I mean? But for real, Steven Spielberg was her godfather.
Maxwell as well. Like,
no, they denied her appeal.
I don't think it's a fair analogy. No, I don't think it's a fair analogy to be like Maxwell's trying to get out too. I mean, Weinstein sounds like a sleazy sleazeball, but I don't know. I mean, all of his charges have been dropped apart from one, which is a massive thing.
And not only that, the woman.
We'll talk about her another day, but what is she up to? She just sat in jail waiting on something. What is going on there? Someone in the side chat tell me, was she charged? Is she doing her sentence, or is she just waiting for something? Like,
she appealed, but they denied the appeal. She appealed, but they denied the appeal. But isn't it interesting that in
you're good, bro.
unwanted travelers case, she is the only one sitting in jail. Where are the rest of the people who were part of the travel agency? If you know what I mean.
They're gone, mate. They're all the worth of it.
No, but why is it's just, why is she the only one? Where are the people that were part of that travel agency that were traveling all over the place and receiving the goods from the travel agency, of these special cases?
Yeah.
But this is the thing though. I have friends.
Listen, they argue it's not about he said it or he didn't. Is that illegal?
No.
Did you go to jail?
No, being immoral and a pig, being an immoral pig it doesn't mean that he was an illegal one. Because he didn't do anything without consent. This woman, the only one that he's sitting in jail for, you should see the list of emails for years after these encounters. And apparently it is very clear that she didn't really see him without clothes on, because the way she described his special parts do not match. Because had he been really naked with her,
okay,
she would have known that he has gangrene. Where?
What do you mean he's got gangrene? I'm sorry.
He has gangrenes in his.
No. Do you know what that is?
Yes, he does, and he has this horrible illness, and they have chopped that off some bits, and then his testicles, They're literally inside his thighs because they have to have an operation, so you can't really see him. So the description of her licking stuff doesn't match.
I could have lived my whole life without the visions that came into my brain there when you said gangrene on his member.
Yep, Pecker Island.
Okay, listen.
She's not
I'll
listening.
be honest. If somebody gets pulled up for being a SA monster in Hollywood, and they say, "Well, couldn't be right. I've got gangrene on my wang and my balls are hidden," I wouldn't put him past him smashing his bits to pieces with a hammer in his basement, because it sounds a lot like I don't sweat. Okay, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you're wrong. It sounds a lot like I. You see what I mean? Maybe not hit it with in the basement, but you know what I mean. It seems like one of those. What would have been more interesting is you've got a 50-50 if the guys had the end of it cut off. You know, that thing that some guys do. Like, that would be the first thing that you would ask. You know what I'm saying? Is it turtleneck or V-neck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I had Lionel Nation on my channel and did an interview, and he says you would do well to have somebody here who will tell you that Diddy is guilty and the Tootsie Roll and everything. But so far, he says he hasn't seen the charges. You know, it's like, and he gave me a very good analogy. He said, what if you're pulled for a speeding ticket and then suddenly they're charging you with stealing a bank? And you're like, wait a minute, but you're charging me with a speeding ticket. I know that Diddy's horrible and he's abusive and everything, because we've seen a lot of things about abuse and everything, but none of the things said, you know, like, it's consent. They voiced consent. They were having emails. You're not supposed to read minds. And these people were profiting from being around him, because I know people in Hollywood that, you know, when they were given the option of a couch casting thing, they said, no, thank you. I much rather study in university and just be done with, you know, but I'm not going to sleep with a guy just for a stupid part, you know. So depending on the morals, depending on the woman's morals, depending on the career you want to have. I mean, I see men do it too, not only women.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I'm going to bring up what the charges were and what got dropped, because
all of them got dropped. He only is in one. On appeal, the judge looked in New York and said, what is this? He should literally, because he's on appeal. He's on appeal. Sorry, City. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He should be free, but he's sitting in Rikers because he's on appeal on one woman's, and this woman's, Candace, has absolutely destroyed. And then what they try to do, they try to dirty Candace. They try to expose Candace, and Candace gets, you know, bring the receipts, you know, like, come on.
I just want to say, when we come to the end of the Weinstein section, we will have Stacey coming on with us, who has been smashing it for me in the Diddy case. And you know, where we were always saying it might be a slow build and all of this, we might start to see some bits popping up over the next couple of days. But I think we're all the same, Paula. We're all kind of waiting in the Diddy case. But I just want to read this because this is wild. So in stunning reversal of one of the most significant rulings in the Me Too movement, New York's Court of Appeal on Thursday, this is last year, overturned disgraced former filmmaker producer Weinstein in 2020's conviction on R and SA charges, though Weinstein still faces a sentence on similar charges in LA and could be retried in New York. Like, it's scary we live in a world where you can go to prison for SA and RN, and then a couple of years later, somebody just is like, oh, well, we made a mistake. Sorry, mate. Like, that's...
And he's ruined. And guess what? Guess who was behind the article? Because Brad Pitt, you know what? Everything adds up, because Brad Pitt did a movie about the Me Too movement, which tanks. Right now it's on Netflix. It tanks based on Harvey Weinstein. So this is why maybe Gwyneth and Brad had a motive to dirty him up, because they just did a movie about it, right? And he talks about it in that interview. And what is really interesting is that the same, the people who exposed Harvey Weinstein in the New York Times are the same reporters who dirty up Justin Baldoni, who turns out that they were lying and that they were set up. So he's saying that he's going to sue the New York Times because everything that they wrote was a lie, especially those women who got the Pulitzer.
I'd be suing everyone, Paula. Everyone would be getting sued. If I'm Weinstein, I'm suing if you were there cleaning the toilets the day I got charged, sued. Okay, You delivered sandwiches to the courthouse, sued. Everyone is getting done because this is one of the most frustrating things when it comes to an essay that there is, when the traumatic events like this are weaponized and falsified onto someone so that there's an ulterior motive that plays out. I guarantee you somebody's shares went up and someone's shares went down when Weinstein went to prison. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was orchestrated for a 2 to 3 point raise in share price and more of a monopoly over Hollywood. I'm not saying that's what's happened. All I'm saying is there's some people in Hollywood that make children vanish. Okay? Vanish.
Yeah. But the thing is, why are there always only one person? Why is only Diddy there? Do people not understand that RICO means an enterprise, not one individual? This is what people don't get. People don't get that, people really don't.
They are getting to it. And I imagine everybody's been given immunity in order to testify.
But the defense has a right to know, because then they can throw shade at the testimony.
There's a bunch of stuff. Like, they've already proved. In fact, you know what? We'll save that for your last 10 minutes. This is about Weinstein.
Weinstein, can you imagine this man? This man is biding his time because there's absolutely zero doubt in my mind that the charges are going to be dropped on the appeal in LA because of the emails. I mean, Candace is exposing all the emails of this woman. This is not a woman who was coerced or anything like that. In fact, she was begging him and calling him, or I really enjoyed our time. And you know what? People try to say, well, that's the mentality, the victim mentality, blah, blah, blah. You know what? At some point, people have to say, at what point are you not a victim mentality and you're just a trying to get ahead using whatever you can, because why not? She was clearly trying to do that. You should see the emails about this woman that went on for years and how she would get angry if Harvey didn't answer back, because Harvey never answered back. It was always his PA, right? So can you have him send me the car? I mean, they even get bossy, like send me the car here or this and that, or why didn't he include me in the party here or that? I had a wonderful time with I understand that some type of women, the only way they want to get ahead rather than do the hard work is do this, just like some men as well do it. But that doesn't make them a victim. I'm sorry. A victim of SA is somebody who's walking down the street and, kids or stuff like that. But a woman who sleeps with a man,
where consent is not there, that is what we're talking about.
But a woman who willingly knows, the man is gross, but you know what? If I sleep with him, I know I'm going to get a good role. There's a big difference there, Ron. I'm sorry.
No, 1,000% there is. But isn't it interesting? Imagine you are an actress and you slept with someone, let's call the person in this Schmeinschmein, right? And you slept with Schmeinschmein, right? And someone found out about it and you were embarrassed. Then 5-6 years later, the Me Too movement starts and you go, I know how I can shave off some embarrassment. I can say this is, and now people will believe me. Not that there's anything to believe. I'm just shaving off the embarrassment. And people that would say, no, that's so untrue. I need to remind you of one wee thing. Like women, I'm going to say it nicely, some of you are mad. Okay? And some men are mad. Okay, there's some bad people out there that make up some stuff because they're bad people. Okay.
Yeah, Gwyneth Paltrow clearly made that up. I have no doubt whatsoever. And I can tell you that given what Candace has exposed and the fact that when the judge in New York, after the Me Too movement have come down, and this judge was level-headed and he looked at the case and goes, what? Guys, how would you feel if you're accused of something? You're a pig. Guys, I have friends of mine. I mean, I say to them, aren't you embarrassed? You're married. You just celebrated 50th wedding anniversary, and yet here you have a mistress that's like 31 years younger than you. She's just 25, and you're like 67, and she just gave birth to one of your kids. Are you a pig? Is that illegal? No, but he's a pig. He's immoral. And the girl who's a peasant and the farm fields and stuff like that, she really went after him because she thought that he was going to leave his wife, who is the same status for her.
Here's an interesting one, Paula. Do you think that because the 40s, 50s, and 60s say there was a lot of division between men and women with regards to status and jobs and all this kind of stuff. And there was a period in time where the boss would sleaze on his secretary, or the women would have to do horrible things to get a role. And with that being forced and accepted, and we've shifted into a society now where women are choosing to be treated the same way in some cases. Do you think that the horrific sort of impact on women from the past and what they've went through and what women are tolerating now that they should have gotten past is what's fueling a lot of this? It's like a hypocrisy over, well, we've come so far. Why would you let this happen to you? Why would you let a sleazeball go all over you for a part now?
Well, the thing is that Harvey wasn't the only game in town. There were, you know what? People forget that there were a bunch of producers, a bunch of other studios. And Candace asked him a very good question. Do you feel that somebody was behind and why did they want to take you down specifically? And he said, I don't know, because I'm not the only one doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like there are a lot of actresses that
100%.
never slept with anybody and went on and won Oscars and stuff like that. It was harder for them, but you know,
Yeah,
and
no,
they had to
100%.
have talent.
Yeah. I'm not saying that there's no talented actresses out there and they've all smashed their way at the top. Not at all. But what you're talking about there, that's the culture at the time. It's what was, back again, 30s, 40s, 50s. Mad. And I think a lot of people look back and they think about what women have had to fight to have all around the world, whether it's the vote or being on equal playing fields and all of this.
Certain type of women. I refer to that women with values would much rather eat dirt than to do that.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
Looking at a certain type of women who would look at a powerful man and say, if I do this for him, he'll get me a movie part and stuff like that. That is the kind of women we're dealing with here now. You know, and you were talking 1940s. We're looking at a 19-year-old in the 1940s. It's like a 7-year-old nowadays, given how far and fast the kids are nowadays.
Yeah. Okay.
My 13-year-old self of how when I was growing up compared to 13-year-olds, I mean, they're wiser, they're faster and have different
PAULA. It's crazy how quickly kids want to grow up nowadays. Like crazy.
And they think they know it all. So these women, when they say she was so young, she was already, I think she was already very popular. She had an older boyfriend. So I mean, but Gwyneth grew up with going to Steven Spielberg's home around A-list actors.
Oh yeah.
That she called them uncles. And she tries to say that she had no power. All she had to do.
You got to keep in mind.
Godfather Harvey, because Harvey would kill to work with Steven Spielberg as a director. Okay. She could have easily she didn't need to call Brad Pitt. All she had to say, I'm going to call my godfather, Steven Spielberg, and say, Godfather, this guy is doing this to me. And basically, Miramax, I think that's the name, would have been blacklisted. Steven Spielberg would have said, I'm never working with these idiots again. And he would have made some phone calls. And her father, too. Her father was very well known. Oof. Her father, he passed away a while ago, but he was incredibly well known and very well connected in Hollywood. This is why he got Steven Spielberg to be her grandfather. And I have no hatred for Gwyneth Paltrow, but she lied. She lied. She exaggerated it, and Brad Pitt did a movie which is called Stand By Me or something like that about these two women that they won, the reporters that won the Pulitzer Prize, which tanked, by the way. And now these very women are involved in writing the thing for Justin Baldoni, who backfired hugely because now they don't do journalism. They just want to do takedowns. They want to do pylons. And it should guys, you should be worried about the pylons. Because I understand that we may not like somebody, we may despise them, but it doesn't mean that they're guilty of something, and you want to look for them to be guilty
100%.
because then justice is not served.
Yep, I agree. It's 100%. 100%.
Pidina no. I just want to correct something for the record. Corinne, Pidina did say she did some things. No, that's not true. Pidina said that she quit Hollywood because they wanted to do things to her and she refused to. And there's one example of a woman with integrity. She said,
Yeah.
"Screw that. This is not for me. I'm not gonna go to those sleazy places. I'm not gonna let a man put a hand on me, and I'm gonna do it the hard way." So no, no. I
Hell
just
yeah.
wanted to throw that.
And here, I just want to say as well, there's probably loads of Hollywood guys who don't sleaze on women. I just want to put that out there too, guys. There's definitely women that have got credibility and men with credibility, and we fully understand that it's the minority that ruin it for us all, just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah, you
Because
have these women. Yeah, they have these women, and the problem that you have with people like, and I'm not saying that Harvey Weinstein is a victim. I find him actually quite gross to look at. But just or Diddy, I find Diddy. I've always said he doesn't have any talent. And I've always questioned how he got out. But these guys, the Harvey Weinstein, the Weinstein brothers, they became famous because they did very good movies. They produced very good movies, and they took risks doing these movies. Right. This is why most of his movies. How many Oscars had this guy won? Because they produced.
I think it just registered that the Weinstein brothers is Harvey Weinstein in my brain, Paula, for the first time. I seem to remember growing up seeing loads of movies that say Weinstein brothers on it.
That's him. Yeah, yeah. And then they found it Miramax.
Oh yeah, no big deal. Just Miramax.
Yeah.
Okay, so
At first, they were the Weinstein brothers, and they produced
yeah.
movies like crazy. And I mean, look! Gwyneth Paltrow Oscar, Meryl Streep Oscar. I mean, all the movies that they produce is Oscar. But for example, they had Quentin Tarantino. They produced. You have all kinds of guys. If you're really talented, you're talented. You don't need to. These guys will actually not sleep with you. you know. So all these women that claim these things, like Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't believe her. I don't believe her because you know why I don't believe her? When she said that she had no power. Because when you know her background, you know that she had power. So she tries to portray herself as this up and coming actress, like, like one of those starving Meghan Markles, but not even Meghan. Meghan had her father who was an Emmy winning lighting director. But let's say any actress who had, like Pidina, for example, who had nobody just came to Los Angeles to try her luck. She had no godfather named Steven Spielberg, no father, Paltrow father who was very powerful too. Her mother was a famous actress, none.
Okay.
There's a big difference there. And if you are talented, you're going to get ahead. And if you feel that, this is the kind of world that's not for your morals, you get out, which is what Pidina did.
But here's the thing: you got to remember, Paula, right? You got to remember there is the sort of person that would never do that sort of thing until their dreams are put on a plate in front of them, and you'd be surprised that there's going to be a
price. We're not talking about.
All I'm talking about is some people that you would think don't have a price. Some of them turns out they have a price.
But does that mean that that's not consent?
No, I'm not saying it means it's our. I
can remember, was it you that we were talking about it? That there was this woman this poor guy, that she thought he was poor. And she said, and the guy asked the woman, would you sleep with me for $10? She goes, and then how about 1,000? How about 10,000? How about $1 million? And she goes, for 1 million. Yeah. So he goes, so we were just negotiating.
Yeah, correct. But that's the reality though. That's the reality. And when we look at individuals like Weinstein, these are the sort of people that have the ability to be sleazy like that. But again, it's a big difference between being a total sleazeball who abuses his power and being an R-wording monster on the lam, And maybe, sadly, there are victims of Harvey Weinstein, but sadly, they'll never be heard now.
He said that everything he did was transactional. They came looking for something. The women would come to him looking for something, So it wasn't like he didn't go out looking for them. He didn't even know they existed.
Yeah. Sorsha, we're all looking at the same A-listers. Don't worry. You're not going crazy. You're not alone. This is just the way it is.
No, it is a terrible world living for men right now. I find it because, and guys, I'm not a feminist, and I believe that we believe to have equal rights. I do not like it when people like Gwyneth Paltrow portray herself as a victim, because then she ruins it for everybody who's an actual victim. Because if you don't know, and she's so stupid to put herself out there like that, because she thinks that we don't know, people are not going to check her background. Steven Spielberg was your godfather.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say, guys. And Google Steven Spielberg. And
Yeah,
Google her
listen,
father too,
again,
by the way.
Spielberg, really swell guy. Not saying anything about Steven Spielberg. Please do your own investigation. Please, people, do your own investigation. Nice guy, super swell. But this is again, Paula, what you were just saying there about men. There was a moment there where, I mean, the world is turning on. There's a racial divisional uprising that is happening in America, in the UK. We seen a video last week of a young black girl from England, English born, throwing stuff all over a white girl in the street just because white people are beneath her. And it's fascinating, man. It's fascinating. When you're 21, you're naive. Yes. I wouldn't want 21-year-old me making any decisions for me now. Now,
Yeah, but
Paula,
how old are you right now, Ron? How old are you right now?
44.
Okay, you're 44. The 21 years old you, that's 23 years ago, is not the same as the 21-year-old now.
No, hell yeah. Freaking right it's not. Of course
So
not.
look, people don't understand it because people nowadays are, the 24-hour cycle news, it really is 24-hour cycle news. People forget 2 weeks news 2 weeks ago. And this is why certain people like Baldoni or Blake Lively try to inundate the news with other stuff, because they try to make you forget, because the attention span of people is very short. What is the next headline? Who's going to be, doing these things more? Rather than do a thorough story, investigate, put out the facts, and even when people put out facts, they're still like, no, because so and so said, without any proof. So it's kind of hard right now.
I'm going to try and get my magic capabilities to the point where I can just fire mind bullets into people's brains. I'm going to go and have another quick puff on my cigarette at the door. Talk about yourself, or give us a rap. Don't give us, just hit the people with some Paula M, and I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. He should give up smoking for reals. So anyway, guys, I know that you guys may not agree with this, but just imagine if you have a son and people are coming and accusing your son, and your son goes to jail for 4 years or whatever it is. And that is a stigma that nowadays doesn't go away quite easily. Victims, I do believe that women should come forward and accuse men of things that are true. But when we have privileged women who are already in a position of power lying, you should be concerned. You shouldn't be praising this. It's actually something quite stressful. Scottish witch Sorcha says, I have boys. I don't know how old they are. Can you imagine if some woman comes and says, he did this to me and it's not true, and your son is put in jail, in the worst possible jail, with no questions asked, no proper investigation, just based on the fact that this happened and this and that? I don't think you'd be that happy. And Gillian Daniels, I'm 21, I'm 63, and I would like to be 21 again. Yeah, I guess. No, Bailey, I understand, Paula. Your views don't match others respectfully. Absolutely, and this is why this is a wonderful society, that we all can agree to disagree in certain things, and that is called a debate. So it is something that we should all be talking about. It is good to talk about these things. It is good to put our views forward respectfully. I mean, if you don't believe in that, that's great. You have another point of view. Fantastic. That is what debate is called about. That's what grown-ups do. They debate, they talk, they exchange views, different points of view. So if you don't, that's fantastic. I'm not an oracle. I have my points of view, and that's it. And those points of view clearly are biased with my upbringing. So yeah, I mean, when I grew up, there were things that were not allowed, and apparently now they're okay. I don't believe in a man going into a woman's bathroom or a little girl's bathroom. That's just the stupid in me. That's just the imbecile in me, that I do not believe that men belong in women's spaces. That's especially little girls, but that's the insanity in me. So no. So that's Andrew Fish. I'm 56. I'm going to be 57 this year. Woo. So yeah. So I mean, it's just different points of view. I mean, but the fact that Gwyneth Paltrow goes and says that she was a disadvantaged victim on that thing, that is a lie. That is a blatant lie. She was not. Her family was very powerful. Thank you, Nancy K. Our views can be different, and we can still have that. That's what do. You guys think that Ron and I don't differ? You should see us when we talk behind, when we're not on camera and we're talking about things. It's we have different points of view, but we laugh about it, and like, dude, how can you? But that's thing that I miss, that I don't see this generation have. You are completely polarized. You either have to hate this person and there's no questions asked, or you have to love this person and you cannot talk badly about this person because we adore this person and this person is untouchable. Why can't you just like a person and this person still being perfect? So, yeah, Lee, I agree. You can be powerful and still be a victim of something. Absolutely. You can be a victim, for example. I believe if everything that they said against Harvey Weinstein is proven to be false, at least the accusations of what he was accused of, he was a victim of certain people and all these women who knowingly went and lied, you know? And I understand all about power dynamics and stuff like that. But then as a woman or as a man, you can say, no, I don't want to. I'm not going to go down that route because you know what? I don't want to sleep with that guy or I don't want to sleep with that woman because I know men who sleep with older women. And are you telling me that Kris Jenner, that boy, that man, what's his name, guys? The guy that's, is Kris Jenner still with that man? Corey Gamble or something like that? You know? Kelly Jan Red says, I know this happened to my son because he did not want to know her. She turned on him. Now she admitted it and she lied, and he has now been recognized as the victim. Yeah, but I can guarantee you that your son went through hell before that, and people will still always question whether it's true or not, whether she was coerced into denying it, because of the victim narrative,
Yeah,
So
100%.
you have to be careful with accusations nowadays. Pylons are not good. And as I was just saying, Ron, people have lost their, you and I don't agree on a lot of things, and
Yeah.
if they heard us talk sometime behind the screen, they think, but this is called conversations, debate. It's
Yeah.
healthy to have it, and we're friends.
Debate is being lost, Paula. People don't seem to realize that you can have a difference of opinion, discuss it assertively, and still be friends. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Sure,
but
there's some
that's the
things.
thing.
Sure,
And I
there's
was
some
saying,
things. Yeah,
I was just saying to the people that we're in a society now that we put these people in pedestals, and it's like, if we love this guy, you cannot say anything bad that he's done,
right.
and if we hate this guy, we cannot say anything positive or anything true, that is because that it's like there's no middle. You can still like this as a rapper,
Yeah.
but like except William Shatner, guys. Okay, don't go after William Shatner
No, we've got it. Nah, Shatner's going down, mate.
or Cristiano.
Shatner and Ronaldo are the next ones.
No, shut up.
Shatner.
Keita is in hot waters right now. Did you hear that it
what's
was
the
her
doctor's name?
father who leaked to Justin Baldoni's lawyers that Blake Lively was basically blackmailing her into leaking 10 years of text messages if she didn't say a positive thing about her on social media? Did you hear that?
Don't know. Sounds like false news to me.
No, Candace Owens said it yesterday. That apparently her father, that Blake Lively threatened. I mean, of all the stupid things you can do in life, or Keanu, Keanu is a good guy.
If anything ever comes out about Keanu, it's done.
I'm leaving this channel. If anybody says anything bad about Keanu,
it's over, man. It's over. It's over.
But Candace said that Blake Lively, can you imagine how stupid? I mean, even I can see that. How stupid do you have to be to threaten Blake Lively that you're going to release 10 years of text messages as friends if she doesn't say something positive on you? I mean, how desperate and idiotic are you? But apparently it was the father who contacted Justin Baldoni's lawyer and said, hey, this is happening to my daughter.
Well, listen, I just want to let everyone know we've got about another 7 or 8 minutes here with the wonderful Paula, and then we're going to be jumping on to the Diddy case with our wonderful Discord panel of chatty ladies, right?
Who are you gonna have on?
Oh man, it's yesterday, Paula, right?
You have Pete Dino. Why don't you have Pete Dino on?
I would love to have P. Dine on. Of course, I would.
You have her number. You have her number. WhatsApp her. You have me as your middle agent.
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm so psyched. I'm interviewing Scott Rouse from the behavior panel.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it. Uber, if you're listening, listen, because you'll like this.
Scott Rouse. All of you guys know who he is from the behavior panel. And he has his own channel now, and he's a body language analyst. I mean, they've analyzed on the behavior panel channel. They've, and I can give you his thing so you guys can contact him because he's amazing. I mean, they're experts. This is, he's amazing, guys. And you should, let me show you a little bit. This is his YouTube channel. The behavior channel is that what they're known for. I'm sure you've seen him, Ron. He's an expert. He trains
yellow background.
That's him. That's Scott Rouse. You know, let me show you. He talks about all kinds of things. You know, psychopath. It's a new channel because he is from the behavior panel. You know, you all guys know him. You know.
Yeah, this is one for Uber. Uber will lose his mind over this.
This is the Psychopath Awards. You know, he did this. This is really. This is the like he has the behavior panel. He's amazing. I mean, and he does all kinds of. This is a new channel that he has for himself.
No. I was going to show you something there.
What?
Well, put it back up on the screen and I'll show you.
Okay, wait. I just want to say. Okay, let me. You know, you always put me on the spot. I'm technologically challenged.
Oh, don't start with that nonsense.
So for guys who don't know this, and I'm sure you've seen this, I just want to show this. You've seen this channel.
No, okay, yeah, okay.
Okay, he is this one here. He's coming to me. Yeah. This is this.
Nice. That's super exciting, Paul. And that's today, right? You're doing that interview today.
In about 9 minutes, I'm doing that. But you want me to bring back his channel?
Yeah, bring back his channel. I just want to point out here, which is quite interesting.
What do you want me to bring? Let me see.
Just go back to his YouTube, all of his YouTube videos.
I'm here.
Okay, right. So scroll down. Stop right there. So
what?
We have got consistent over 100,000 views, over 50k views, and then
this is a new channel.
No, listen. The YouTube algorithm has seen the Psychopath Awards with that knife in it, and completely suppressed the video because of the thumbnail, and it's got 5,000 views. And then you go and look at the rest of the videos, 271.
The Psychopath Awards, he has 4.4, right? But then the other ones, he's got like 60k, 271k, 260k.
It's because the word psychopath is in the thumbnail and that knife is in the thumbnail. How crazy is that?
He managed this one, the Psychopath Awards, 64k. But then again, it's a new channel. Because he has his own new channel, you know, like, but for example, 233k, you know, how to act like a psychopath, 12k.
It's crazy what YouTube picks up on, though. It really, really is. And you'll find if it's him sitting on his own, it will be suppressed. But if it's a podcast with more people, that'll be propped up by the viewership of the other people, if you see what I mean. The algorithm is fascinating, man. I just want to give everybody who wants to come and join the Discord panel today your 5-minute warning. If you need to make a cup of tea, if you need to go to the bathroom, if little frickin' Timmy needs, a snack and a juice box, get him sorted out. And it's been an interesting one, Paula, because again, people don't like to touch these cases because they've got icky subject matter. The people are being villainized. They've been created into these monsters, right? And the sad thing is the majority of people still live in a world where they have faith in the judicial system. They have faith in the media, and they scoop all of this up because society has been created so that you are more concerned about your mortgage payment and how you're going to start, keep, clothes on your kids' backs, and keeping us stressed out with not enough money to do that in order for us not to have the time to fully invest in these situations. And that's by design. Because if they keep us all stupid, they can do whatever.
But also, because people don't want to talk, they don't want people talking about this, which is really insane, guys. It's like people go so hard against you. It's like, you can't talk about that because, it's like, it's not going to happen, or we don't agree with you. That's okay. Let's not agree, but let's talk.
I had to tell a bunch of black supremacists who were trying to paint my friends as racists, that they were a bunch of racists. And like, I'm just not here for it. I'm just not here for it. They can all suck their mums. But Paula, what can people be looking forward to from Paula M? You're doing this interview today with the body language.
Live with the body language guy, and then I did a fantastic interview with Norman Baker. I am editing it just right because he's not pro-monarchy, even though he was an MP. Did you know that he was?
You don't think that Norman Baker is such a good serial killer name? Like, no. like the tale of Norman Baker. Like, it's got Norman Baker stalks his prey at night, taking out the vermin of society. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a good name. It's a good name.
Yesterday, that what's it called? This guy Fred West came out. I went to sleep with it yesterday. Fred West and Rose West. The killers from the UK.
I know them. Heard of them. Don't worry.
Oh my god! I was like, what is wrong with us women going to sleep and watching these things? Something is wrong with us.
Oh no! Do you know there was a whole documentary called Murder PORN, all about women in America who sit down with their husbands, watch true crime, and then get real horny after watching it. And it was fascinating, right? And it's brought the attention to this whole subculture of women that have these fantasies of being abducted and all of this. And it's, hey, listen, consenting adults doing consenting adult things. You do your things. But it was a funny documentary. But listen,
but I know, it's actually quite sick. I didn't know how many people he had really killed. So yesterday I was watching, and it's like, oh my god.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Fred West and his wife Rose West.
Yeah, yes. But you know what?
We have to run. I told you we have to do a real crime. I've been dying because that Ron and I did this really good thing on John Bennett, but we used too much footage. It got over 200,000 views.
You're a bully. That's right. You're a bully. YouTube went, we cannot, a breach of terms of service. This woman is bullying this man on a live stream. But no, Paula, Fred and Rosemary West were two single people that were doing. Whoa! Did anyone just see? Did anyone just see the orb fly out of Paula's head? Someone get a clip of that, please. That was mad. So Fred and Rosemary West were single. They weren't together and doing murderous, horrible things. And then someone brought them together. Did you know that an effigy was left outside of Savile's house?
No.
A dead body was left outside Savile's house as an effigy to Savile. And that was round the corner from Fred and Rosemary West's house. Because I wonder who brought them together. People that end up like that. Bring back a royal mess, please. Do you know, we might have to do a throwback, do a throwback party episode.
I'll get you a bunch of people there. I'll get you Pete Dine. I will get George the Giant Slayer. On Saturday, I'm having my live with George the Giant Slayer and Pete Dine.
Yes. I wish George. I would give George my love. Give George my love. Yeah, give George my love.
Yeah, you should have him back on for the Woke.
I will. But the last time I was doing George-related stuff, I'm pretty sure he was going through it, man. I don't know what. I don't want to say it out loud, but he was going through it. And then something else happened. And he was going through it again. I'm sure there was just a series of unfortunate events back to back for George. But send him a love because we love. Oh, also, how do you still see Enti? Do you still speak to Enti?
You know what? I sent him an email. I haven't. I've been so busy. I haven't, but I'm going to send him another email. Yes, of course I do. He's an amazing guy. I like him.
Yeah, nice one, Fifi. Yeah, get that clip. Paula, I've had some crazy orb moments with Paula. She has no idea what we're talking about, by the way. She's uninterested in this. But I'm telling you, mad. If that one came out of her head, then that's wild.
I have to go because I have to get ready for the thing.
No problem. Thank you, Paula. You're a legend. Paula's link is in the description.
Just send me the link and I'll join you. I thought, about yesterday. I apologize, but I'll see you tomorrow, guys, or whenever you send me the link, guys.
100%. Peace out. Right. Okay. We freaking love a bit of Paula M. Right. I'm preparing myself for the ladies now. It's going to be a lot. Okay. Let me just bring up the Diddy trial stuff so that I'm prepared and no one shouts at me for not being prepared. Okay. This is the fear that's been installed in me. Diddy trial. Okay. All right. So let me just go back to the start of the day. Okay. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. Right. So we're going to jump in now with Stacey and Pamela. And they're both going to do their best not to interrupt Ron today. We're going to really try hard not to not interrupt Ron today, ladies. I swear, I love you dearly, but you got to let your boy cook. But welcome, Pamela, Stacey. How are you?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm a bit triggered today about the state of the country, the UK, if I'm being honest. So yeah,
It seems to be not just your country, you know.
yeah, I know, but
Everyone,
I live here though. I don't.
so many
You know
things
what I'm
happening.
saying? So this is the one I live in, right? It sucks that everyone else
I
is going
know.
through that too. It really does. But we've got to figure out a way of dealing with it all, to be perfectly honest. Now, listen, Stacey, Pamela, how has the Didosphere been going since we last spoke?
It's been ramping up, Ron. I mean, the feds are really starting to show us the exact calculations of who was involved and how many people within the Combs enterprises were there to protect him and to do as he said, regardless of whether it was legal or not. You know, this morning we had his ex-assistant continue his testimony, and they have Kid Cudi on the stand right now, talking about what transpired between the two of them. And there's going to be 3 more witnesses today before the end of the day. Not sure who exactly they're going to be. But
when we say we're not sure exactly who they're going to be, can we get a bit excited? Like, does no one know who they're going to be? Like, could this be like a groundbreaking witness that they bring out?
Well, there were a few names that were mentioned that seem to be mainly ex-employees. So I didn't write them down, but they are on the list of people next week, because don't forget, we have a holiday here in the US, so there's not going to be any court on Monday. I don't think there's going to be any court tomorrow either.
What was the name of the day in America? Sorry,
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So everyone's, having a nice long weekend, which means we got a little bit of a break from all the Diddy saga. But
Yeah.
it was interesting to hear the assistant finish his testimony, and essentially, he seemed pretty credible. He spoke about witnessing a physical violence towards Cassie on Diddy's private jet. And essentially Cassie was crying out for help and saying, doesn't anybody see this? Like why security didn't intervene? When he heard glass breaking, he went in to see what was happening, and like Diddy was hovering over Cassie and she had her legs up to keep space between them. And Diddy ended up saying, go in the back room and stay there, and Diddy went towards the front cabin. And Diddy told his assistant to get lotions and cover up her injuries on her face. And, there were instances as well. He also saw Diddy physically attack Gina, who has been brought up quite a few times, which is essentially witness number 3, who's been missing in action. Yesterday they ended the day where the defense team said to the prosecutors and the judge, right when they were done for the day, Gina's not coming. Well, how the heck did the defense team know if Gina was coming or not when that's the prosecutor's witness? Is it because the defense team has had communications with Gina and maybe bribed her not to come? You know, you would think that the prosecutors would have said, hey, we're not going to be using witness number 3, Gina, forget her last name. And, you know, we're going to move right along to witness number 4 and 5. I thought that was very telling that the defense was the one that brought it up. And apparently in the people that were in the courtroom said that Agnifilo basically like put his hands up in his air and was very animated when he was saying, Gina's not going to be part of this case. She's not coming. So that was an interesting way to end the day yesterday.
Okay, well, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just power through today's update so that we're up to date. Just from where George Kaplan comes into play. I can keep up, we can sort of keep on top of them while we dive back into other bits and bobs. So this is from 2 hours ago. George Kaplan exhaled heavily, asked why he did nothing when Sean Combs, when he saw Sean Combs' violence towards Cassie Ventura on a private jet. I was 23-year-old, a former Combs assistant testified. All I wanted to do was have a great job in the entertainment industry. Absolutely. And you weren't willing to risk that to stop a woman being beaten. Kaplan added at the time he could not believe his good fortune working for such an icon. Absolutely. And you were willing to turn a blind eye, it would sound. And was coerced speaking out could jeopardize his Combs' well-being. Interesting. Is he really just unaware of what he's saying? Like, another incident, George Kaplan testified he got a call on the intercom from Sean Combs in LA in his home in 2015 to come to the bedroom. He said he saw Cassie Ventura in the bed, clearly upset with a bruised eyebrow and forehead. Kaplan walked past Ventura to Combs, who is in the bathroom. He said Combs asked him to pick up several over-the-counter remedies, including witch hazel. Kaplan testified that he used Combs' corporate credit card to purchase the items, which he understood would be mixed together as an anti-swelling agent. Wow. Like when I was into bushcraft and survival, I learned some stuff that you would never know unless you were into bushcraft and survival. But I'm telling you now, that is some crazy wife beaters. The wife beaters cookbook recipe. That's where that's come from.
The fact that he knew that just goes to show how often he did it.
Don't get me wrong. You know, I could be over speculating here, but I mean that is mad. I am younger. This is a god amongst men, George Kaplan said on the stand, describing how he viewed Sean Combs when he worked as a producer's assistant years ago. He didn't just push me to the deepest depths. He took me to the depths that I didn't know I had, Kaplan continued. He actually helped me grow up as a man. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can see why somebody who would be pushed could see him like that. George Kaplan finally quit his dream job working for Combs when he testified Thursday after seeing his boss attack yet another girlfriend in 2015. Kaplan said he was staying in Combs' guest house in Miami at the time. Late one night, he said he saw Combs throwing green apples. He wasn't sure if they were real. Very hard at a woman named Gina. She was trying to shield herself with her arms. Kid Cudi is taking the witness stand. He is testifying under legal name Scott Mescudi. Kid Cudi, this must be him here. Kid Cudi, Scott Menducci. God damn it, brain. Kid Cudi, real name Scott Mescudi, in the courthouse on Thursday evening morning wearing a white shirt, black leather jacket. And the rapper took the stand shortly afterwards. Sorry, I just realized Nova's having a tiny nap behind me. I'll use the indoor assertive voice. Okay, the indoor assertive voice. You know what I'm saying? Kid Cudi is on the witness stand wearing light jeans and a white t-shirt. Thank God we got that out of the way first, Stacey. I know you'll have been relieved to know exactly what he was wearing. It's an important factor. It is very unusual for the witness in a federal court to dress so casually. Is it? Do you know what's unusual for a 19-year-old to get given a 10-album deal and then have to get her mouth filled up with wee-wees? That's what's unusual.
Oh,
yeah.
Christ.
Yeah. So, you know, I was thinking about this. This is kind of off topic. But I was thinking about this last night after the day that we had in court yesterday, listening to everything, especially with regards to what they found in his house. One of the things that wasn't pointed out in some of the transcripts, I ended up seeing it in the pictures, and another YouTuber pointed it out. They also found a nitrous oxide tank in his home, as well as eye drop bottles where the Department of Homeland Security tested what was in the eye drop bottles, and it was MDMA and K. And so I thought to myself, that's what they brought to the clubs and the parties to spike those drinks.
Are you sure? I don't think I'm going to just be honest with you. Did they say it was eye drops? Because that's more like the sort of thing you would put in a nasal spray.
Why?
It was in eye drop bottles.
In eye drop
Yeah,
bottles.
I heard that as well. I read that as well.
Because I'm just telling you now, no one's taken MDMA through the eyes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that's why I think they were using it to spike drinks. They were squeezing it out of the bottle
into the bottles,
into the drinks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes, because they're perfect. They would be perfect for that. I've got one on my
Yeah.
desk, and yeah, 100%, and I definitely have no reason for knowing this information. Please carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, it's very we're starting, like I said before, we're starting to see things, and I said this last week, we're gonna see things start to unravel and them building up, you know, to where we start seeing the full picture. And I think this week is really where we're being shown beyond Cassie, right? This isn't about Cassie. This is about something bigger than her. And there's a lot more to the story than just Cassie getting the shit kicked out of her, so to speak.
No, 100%. 100%.
And there's a lot of people that enabled him, you know, between security not intervening, between Christina Karam, his right-hand woman. You know, one of the things that came up with a couple of testimonies this week with the ex-assistants is that Christina Karam held on to Diddy's wallet. And whenever they had to pay for something, Christina Karam would give his Black Amex card, which was a corporate credit card. So you see that part of the RICO, where he's using a corporate credit card for personal things like, you know, S toys and, you know, all the different things that he would have people run out and get for him, you know, between food and liquor and yada yada. We're seeing testimonies of these assistants having to go and pick up money for him, pick up rugs for him, you know, and you're starting to see, you know, just how much he had these people like in his grips and under his control, and they did whatever he told them to do. Now, the defense already insinuated today, they tried saying, well, you know, do you think Diddy was paying attention to, you know, what he was spending on baby oil? Which obviously I'm sure he wasn't, you know. Well, and they were saying, Christina Karam, you know, you said she had his wallet, you know. So they were trying to throw Christina Karam under the bus, saying, hey, listen, she was the one keeping track of things and swiping the card many times. So we should definitely expect to see her maybe next week or the week after that.
Yeah.
Because she is the prosecutor's witness.
No, it makes
so you know she's going to try to save her butt and take a plea, you know, in order to not be convicted as a co-conspirator, because that's exactly what she is.
100%. Well, look, Daifun has just mentioned about the Obama things. You know, last night I was thinking about the Obama pills, and it got me thinking, like, sure, we can think of it as pills, right? But it's almost like you're putting a face on something that makes sense in Diddy's world. So it's a bit of a joke to put Obama's face on a pill you commonly use. But do you know what got me thinking of? Other weird artwork that appeared with presidents' faces on it in other cases, like the painting of Bill Clinton that hangs up on the island. That was another president featured in a very peculiar manner, connected to another individual. Perhaps this is some weird club homage to ex-presidents who've been brought in or something. Does that make sense what I'm trying to sort of poke at here?
Oh my god.
Yeah, and that was really the only point that I had on that. But I was thinking about that last night, because the subculture of those pills, there's a massive subculture of art that goes along with these pills, and someone like Diddy is going to be well aware of things like that, you know.
Well, he also was reportedly really obsessed with Obama.
All right, okay.
So
first black
I
president.
think, you know, I found that out last night as I was doing some digging, that that was someone that he very much looked up to. So and Tesla's symbols were also on another set of pills that were found in his house. So obviously, you know, he looked at these people as, you know, someone of an inspiration that he saw as powerful, successful, that he wanted to be like.
100%.
Can I just,
Yeah, on you go, Pam.
say,
You go,
you know,
Pam.
like with regards to like the presidents and like you're saying Tesla, do you think that's basically him kind of telling the world who are involved? Do you know what I mean? Without actually telling them.
Well, I
saying?
insinuated that yesterday with the Obama pill.
Yeah.
No?
It's like with Tesla, is he trying to say that Elon Musk is kind of involved in something, but not actually saying it? You know,
I mean,
it's like a clue.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Obama, see, what makes me think maybe Obama was involved is because one of the assistants did say that Obama was there one time when he went to go pick up rugs from oh God, why do I always forget this guy's name?
I'm not being funny. Who wasn't there one time? Like, I'm not being funny.
Huh?
Like, when it comes to the Didisphere, who wasn't there one time?
I know, I know.
Like,
you know, you never know how deeply they're involved or not.
Right. And you know what? It's almost like if you can be the best friend, if one of your masks can be best friend and the best party thrower to everyone, right? And the other side be the most evil, deviant monster in the world, you have got everyone by the balls, because there's so much guilty by association that we talked about months ago in this, you know?
Yeah.
And look, I'm just going to read through some more of these updates and then I'll cut back to you ladies in just a second. Kid Cudi testified that he thought Cassie Ventura was no longer seeing Sean Combs when he started to date her. The witness rapper, whose name is Scott Muscudi, recalled the day Ventura frantically called him to tell him that Combs had discovered their relationship. Ventura said she had given Combs his home address in LA and feared he might go, what? Why? Why would she do that? And feared she might go, that's like one of those women that starts, like, gets a guy in the pub to flirt with her just so her boyfriend will go and punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Okay. So
kind of
a little bit. Scott Muscudi. I mean, we don't know the reasons. I mean, you could have threatened her and forced her to give her the address. I'm sure it's probably that. But I'm just talking out loud. I'm just going to call this guy Scott. Okay, Scott, aka Kid Cudi, re-encountered the burglary that took place the day Cassie Ventura told him that Sean Combs knew about their relationships, while Ventura and Scott were hiding out in the Sunset Marquis Hotel in LA. They had a phone conversation with Capricorn Clark, all right, an assistant who worked for both Muscudi and Combs. Clark sounded as though she was on the verge of tears. Muscudi testified that Clark told them that Combs, an affiliate, were at Muscudi's home in the Hollywood Hills and that she had been forced to go along and was sitting in the car outside Muscudi's house waiting for Combs. Also, this is going to sound really messed up, right? But, like, have you ever heard of the old trick of using a crying woman as bait? Like, have you ever seen, I tell you what is the name? It's Denzel Washington movie. It's The Apocalypse, and he's got that book, The Book of Eli. Watch The Book of Eli. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about, where you've got this woman who's crying for help, and then it turns out that she's chained, and then the dudes jump out, and all of this.
Yeah.
When this sounds like the phone call version of that.
It's like dangling her in front.
Yeah. After finding out that Sean Combs and an entourage were at his home, Scott Kid Cudi, oh my God, Scott testified he left the hotel and called Combs as he drove over. Mother effer, you in my house, Muscudi recalled saying. I just want to talk to you, Combs calmly responded. Oh, man. I bet Diddy's psycho, quiet tone voice is awful. Combs calmly responded, according to Muscudi, I'm over here waiting for you. When Scott arrived at his home, Combs wasn't there. He noticed that his security cameras, normally positioned over the door, had been turned away. Unbeknownst to him, the cameras were not working at the time. Scott told the jury. Inside the home, Scott saw that someone had unwrapped Christmas gifts he'd bought for his family and had locked his dog in the bathroom. Oh, no. The dog was jittery and on edge. He said, that is totally creepy. He said he got into his Porsche and called Combs again and asked where he was. He said the Combs told him that he was on his way. Scott said he was angry and wanted to fight Combs, but calmed down after hanging up. I don't know who he was with. I don't know what his intentions are. He told the jury. He says Combs never actually met at the house. So if Combs wasn't there, right, personally or whatever, it's an interesting one that woman phoned in tears almost. Now that we've come to Scott Kitty's long anticipated testimony about how his car exploded, Scott said that he got a call from his dog sitter early in the morning in January 2012, shortly after Sean Combs learned of his relationship with Casa Ventura, and he raced home to find his Porsche mangled in his driveway near the remains of a Molotov cocktail. What the F, Muscodi recalled saying. Could you imagine, right? You go out with a bird in 2012, right? Fair enough, it's a rapper's girlfriend. And then 13 years later, you're pulled into the biggest freaking case in Hollywood. I just want to say,
Crazy.
If you have, and they only dated for a month.
What is the number one thing we've all learned from the Diddy case? Never send text messages. Every correspondence has to be verbal, because text messages from emails from 13 years ago coming back to bite you in the... I mean, if you're a horrible R-word and monster, you deserve it. I'm just saying. Oh. Scott said that Sean Combs met at the Soho House in LA after someone blew up his car. The first time the men had seen each other since they'd entered the love triangle with Casa Ventura. Sean Combs is standing there with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain. Scott testified that he said that Combs spoke calmly and told him they were homies. And he said he couldn't understand why Scott would have a fling with Ventura. Is that us? Hang on. Oh no, 4 new updates. There we go. I'm going to go back to here. Okay. So that was one. Okay, so Scott will face cross-examination from Combs' lawyer next. During the sidebar break, the witness let out a pronounced yawn as he stretched both arms above his head. Years after his meeting with Sean Combs, Scott told prosecutors that the two men returned to the same LA Soho house to clear the air again. Combs brought his daughter. Scott recalled and pulled him aside at one point to say, "Man, I just want to apologize for everything and all that bullshit. I kind of found peace with the whole situation." He told the jury that was the last thing I was expecting to get. As he, what? The bee. Hang on, I'm coming. Hang on. It's all right. Max.
Nova's calling.
Oh, bless her.
She's so cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the picture this morning.
So I just had to save Dan and Nova from a big fluffy bee that was just trying to say hi. It was a big fluffy puppy with wings, but she went full woman holding a baby. A lot of and hand flapping. Right. So okay, I kind of found a piece of the whole situation. He told Shane initial testimony. The rapper told the court that he had no other beef with Combe or anyone else at the time. Under cross-examination, he said there was no damage to his Hollywood home in December. Okay. The day he believed Sean Combs and his associates broke in and unwrapped Christmas presents. Combs' attorney, Brian Steele, noted that there were no chairs turned over, no glass broken, no holes in the wall. Muscudi, a rapper known by his stage name Kid Cudi, agreed. He said he left the front door to his home unlocked, so there was no forceful entry. What a dumbass. Steele highlighted that Combs sounded, in Scott's words, calm when the two men met later. The defense attorney also asked if Scott ever saw Combs be violent with Ventura or if he disclosed any essay. He said no. Oh, no. The defense is using Scott as testimony to question the character of the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, whose fling with the rapper allegedly incited Sean Combs to break into his home and burn his car. As if that's just all right, you know? On cross-examination. I mean,
over a girl.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine, you break up with someone, or, someone breaks up with you, and you decide, you know what? They're dating this other person. I'm going to go break into their house and burn their car. Now, listen, the thoughts crossed my mind with my recent ex-boyfriend, but I would never do it.
I'm sorry. Are we trying to say,
like, that's a whole different level of insanity that you actually
are we
go and have the nerve to do that?
Are we honestly saying that on men versus women, you're honestly saying that men are the ones who've had the most crazy responses to breakups over women? Come on.
No,
no.
Women.
Do you know how many
keys? Yeah,
do you know how many cars?
Women definitely can get nutty too. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how many?
I'm not judging by sex.
Do you know how many cars have been keyed by angry ladies? I know it's not the same thing. I'm just busting chops. Right. Anyway, so he had Combs next. Metro's over romantic dispute over Ventura. When both men agree she had misled them into believing she was unattached. Oh, the person who played you and the person who played Mr. Combs was Miss Ventura. Steele said, "True." Oh man.
Yeah. Here's an insinuation with that statement is I think Cuddy felt like the reason why Ventura kind of screwed him over is because she did give Diddy Cuddy's address that morning. But obviously she's not going to think that the man's going to go break into this guy's house and then throw a Molotov cocktail in his car and blow it up, nobody really expects that kind of behavior. Now, she probably knew that a fight was going to transpire, but something to that caliber, I mean, I'm sure she didn't expect that to happen.
But when you think about it, Diddy is a little bit crazy, so he's not going to do like the normal thing. He's going to do something that where, for example, I think he was just trying to send him a message that, okay, I don't like the fact that you're with my girl, my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have been happy whoever she had like started dating afterwards. But obviously he I think he was just showing
power and control.
Cuddy, like, okay, I can do this and I can do more, kind of thing. It was like a threat without actually threatening him. Do you know what I mean? And then afterwards he's saying, "Oh, it's all good." Do you know what I mean? But I think Diddy just wanted to just show him like what he's capable of. And I think that's one of the reasons why they did end up not being together for very long at all. Do you know what I mean? Because he was and also you have to also remember Diddy's also in that kind of position where he can it can affect his music as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people where they've had their music, or people have stopped listening to them, or people aren't that have been blackballed.
Yeah.
Because Diddy doesn't, they've done something that Diddy doesn't like, and he has that power to do that.
100%. Boo's saying men move on quicker and get over the last relationship quicker. I think you're wrong. I think you've mistaken men just liking to bang things as, men banging a bunch of people and then that's them over something. It's not. It's just they're single now and they're confused. Okay. And they're out in the wild and they're following their instincts. And then,
But do you not think that men tend to hold a grudge a lot more?
I don't know. I'm on the spectrum, and my interpretation of the world is very different to most of yours. So
it could be
the concept of a lot of things that people find very simple. I'm confused the hell out of me. But there's one more update here. Scott was almost comically casual in court Thursday morning as colleagues of Shayna Jacobs noted the rapper known as Kid Cudi wore a black leather jacket, white shirts, and most men have been wearing suits at the stand. Scott yawned a few times during the testimony and seemed to take pleasure in describing Combs as resembling a Marvel villain. When the defense attorney, Brian Steele, thanked Scott for his testimony, he replied, "Yup, no problem." All right, well, interesting.
That's his street cred, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you think about it, dressing how he wants to dress, he's not going to put a suit on, kind of thing.
It could also be the fact that he's not going to put any effort in for Diddy.
True.
Excuse me if that makes
That's
any
very
sense.
true. Yeah.
But
You could be right in that one.
I mean, it is a bit of a.
But you know,
I mean, that
can I also
is
say,
he is
you know-
literally wearing the same outfit John Travolta wore in Grease Lightning. In Grease, sorry. Like, unless he's
yeah,
wearing
that's
like
actually a little bit.
like he is
That's a little bit.
he is rocking the Grease look. Sorry, who did I cut off there? Was it Pam?
Yeah.
Yeah, on you go, Pam.
Yeah, you did, but it's okay. You carry on.
No. On you go. I was just pointing out his fashion choice.
No, yeah, I think that's just what it was. But I also just think, like with the other, because when I mentioned yesterday about another girl that Diddy was dating at the same time, it was actually Gina, and you know, she was basically in love with him, and he just abused her time and time again. And I remember she knows, like Cassie knew that he was seeing her as well at the same time, kind of thing. So that's just one of these things where he's just basically saying, for example, to Kid Cudi, there's that sign that he's saying, you know what, I'm capable of doing this and this. And to like Cassie, he kind of disregarded her, and he was just basically, it's almost like it was a message to say, you know what, I can see who I want, kind of thing, at the same time, if I want to, you know. But yeah, I just think that he kind of just wanted to just show them that he's like the big man, and they're just like beneath him, kind of thing, and he can do whatever he wants to do, kind of thing. But
100. Yeah, everything's a flex with this guy. 100%.
yeah.
We learned that when we discovered that the blackmail of Cassie's mum for $20,000. Like, what does that man need $20,000 for? To buy one half of a new cufflink? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, most probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the sort of guy that could find 20K down the back of a couch. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
didn't she take out a loan, or she?
Oh no,
she did
it was she remortgaged her house, Pam. Remortgaged her house.
That's it.
The big boy loan. Do you know what I'm saying? The big boy one. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
crazy.
I just found 3 lighters in my pocket. Like, what was that about? All right, Stacey, let me circle back. Hit me with the things that have stood out for you this week. Like, if indeed the sort of key areas, the key issues, or the key points that have stood out for you this week. Whoa! So Stacey's mic's off. Stacey is busy right now, I would imagine.
Oh no! I just realized my mic was off. See, I'm talking to dead air.
That's all right. That's all right.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, take us through the key points. I mean, don't get me wrong. Take us to the key points.
I think one of the big things yesterday, and one of the most influential things on the jury yesterday, from what I've seen reported from people that are in the courtroom, is the forensic psychologist and her interpretation of how trauma and abuse affect victims, as well as, you know, their coping mechanisms, all that. Everything she said, you know, they were taking notes on, they were fully engaged. I think that really helps the prosecutors. So this way the jury understands, you know, one, not just why Cassie stayed, you know, and why she didn't do certain things and so forth, but we have more victims coming forward that will be testifying, so it'll help them understand their story as well. The other thing is these, you know, ex-employees, them testifying to the workplace environment and how hostile and violent it was, and the things that he had them doing between picking up substances and, you know, charging things fraudulently to corporate credit cards. And and the roles of different people within the organization, I think that's really, an important part of the charges that are up against him, is showing, how coercion takes place, the organization of employees that just yes sirred him, and did whatever he wanted. The other thing that I thought was a win for the prosecutors is Cassie's ex-best friend. Her testimony was very unbiased, because obviously they haven't been in contact for many years, and she was very matter of fact. And, her testimony was, very, there was no reason for her to lie. Because of the fact that she hasn't been in contact with Cassie. And that relationship was ruined because of the fact that she witnessed violence and couldn't, and also was at the hands of violence herself by Diddy. The other thing is the mother's testimony. Cassie's mom, her testimony wasn't even, there was no, cross examination of her. And that was very telling for the defense, So I think this week we're seeing a lot of great testimonies for the prosecutors, and for some of the charges that they are up against, or Diddy's up against, to start connecting the dots. I think, and they've been timing things very, very well. So I think, the jurors are able to see, everyone was focusing on Cassie in the beginning, but that was a timing thing. Like I said to you last week, it was just because she's due to have her baby any day. They had to get her in and out. Now we're starting to see more and more, and, the house of corruption and trafficking and all the other things, it's starting to build, and it's going to get really interesting. We have a lot of employees that are going to be testifying, and we even have other people that have no bias, no reason to lie, that are going to be up on the stand. And I think that's really important for the jurors to see. Like, there's going to be a male hotel employee, which I believe he's going to testify today. So he's probably going to testify on something he witnessed at a hotel between Diddy and whether it's Cassie or another ex-girlfriend. It's going to be interesting to see it all play out.
100%.
Isn't that the guy that came
One second,
down?
Pam. One second, Pam. I just want to say to everyone who's confessing to be a lighter thief in the side chat, I'm not going along with you. I'm shaming you by putting your posts up here. You bring great shame upon your families, okay? And saying you look like a respectable member of society. Okay, you look like the sort of lady that lighters should feel safe around, and you are just casually out there admitting to be what is considered socially acceptable thievery. I think not. Because of people like you, ladies, right? That I used to have to keep mine on a freaking lighter leash, which basically looks like you look like a crackhead walking around with a lighter dangling off your jeans. You made me do that, ladies. You made that happen. You're molding society with your past. You're the sort of people that go into Greg's and take 8 or 9 sugars when you only need 1. All right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with it. I'm just busting your chops. But yeah, no, circle back around, ladies. I'm actually going to go to the side door and have a quick puff of my ciggy. So I'll be back in 2 minutes, but I won't mute yous like I did yesterday. And Court has gone into lunch.
Okay. So he's having a quick puff.
What are your thoughts, Pam?
So, what really stood out, I think, last night, was the whole, the guy George Kaplan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what was big in that sense was because they very rarely give anybody immunity. Okay, so this guy is saying he's taken the stand, and he's saying he observed a lot of things, but he didn't actually do anything unless that all comes out afterwards. So, because I was thinking, okay, for somebody to be given immunity, like, he must have done something really kind of bad, and he's thinking, okay, if he gets caught, he's going to end up going inside as well.
Well, you
do
know
you
what I
understand what
think?
I'm saying? So
Yeah, I totally get it.
and I know that and I know it says that even though he's been given immunity, he can still be charged for things. But what I'm surprised at is the fact that it was just observation, like what he saw Diddy do.
It
Do you know what I
wasn't
mean?
just
When
about that.
sorry?
It wasn't just about what he saw.
Yeah,
I think
that's
what
what
he
I'm
was
saying.
fearful of is the fact that he went and picked up substances for Diddy.
And he did,
You know,
okay,
they
yeah,
were
yeah. And he
illegal
did go for it.
substances. Yeah, I think that's what he was concerned about, is the fact that
Oh,
he
that
was
is
picking up
horrible.
illegal substances, and
Yeah.
he was picking up money that was getting wired to Diddy, you know,
Yeah.
and charging things that he shouldn't have been
Yeah.
charging to the corporate
Okay,
credit
yeah,
card,
of course.
you
Yeah,
know.
I
So
get what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. He was kind of just, well, the thing is, that's just what Diddy does with his assistants, don't he? It's like they run around and they, get all the drugs and all, anything that he needs. He mostly sent them off to buy the baby oil in bulk or something to get a discount.
well,
I
he
don't know.
did.
Do you know what I mean?
There was nothing that it appears
Yeah.
that essentially there was nothing that he didn't ask them to do.
Yeah.
He had them do all his dirty work. And I think that's what the defense will try to do, is try to say, well, Sean didn't do this himself, but they can't, if they try to do that, they really don't have a strong argument, because these people were at the direction of Sean. They were told to do these things, and they were threatened by him multiple times. Like, look, George Kaplan said his job was threatened every month, on average, and they were coerced, so there's part of the, RICO is these people had basically their hands tied behind their back,
And also he was very young, and when you think about it, he was seeing things that he didn't want to see. Do you know what I mean?
And that's why he left.
And how long was he with Diddy again?
I think it was
I can't
1 or
remember.
2 years.
Yeah.
1 or 2 years.
And it's understandable.
Oh yeah, he testified that, after the incident with Cassie on Diddy's plane, and after seeing what Diddy did with Gina, that's when he said, I don't align with this. I can't be a part of this. And he gave his notice, and, he left, because as much as he learned from Diddy in a business perspective, he said it was a very complicated relationship, because there were sides to him that I just, it was immorally, against everything that he was, aligned with,
And that's
he couldn't be part of that,
that's understandable. I mean, I could imagine anybody working for P. Diddy walking on eggshells all the time, because you don't know how he's going to react 1 minute from 1 minute to the next. Because you can imagine him being the nicest person and doing everything, and then can just literally just switch.
Like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. And I think that's what he mostly did have some kind of, I don't want to say person.
Well, he claims to have bipolar. That's what he claims to have. But that doesn't excuse criminal activity. You know?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
How much time do you think?
Funny, but
no, how much time do you think it's going to have to pass?
Mentioned bipolar just recently, kind of thing.
Ever since the trial started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to see the doctor's diagnosis of this. There as much as they found regarding prescriptions and so forth, there was never anything that they found that was a prescription to treat bipolar disorder.
No.
So where did this come from? Did he self-diagnose himself all of a sudden?
More likely. A lot of people do that though, don't they?
Yeah.
They probably did. Or maybe that's just like a tactic that a lawyer saying, okay, you can put it down to this. Like, you're suffering from depression, you 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're not. kind of thing, and that's why you do these crazy things. You know, it could be anything. They could be kind of going for that kind of side of things, like blame it on that, blame it
Right
on.
when the opening statement started, his defense team said, "Oh, you know, he was on drugs. He wasn't in the right state of mind to
Yeah,
be guilty of any of this." You know,
yeah,
like as if that wipes out abuse and violence
yeah,
and, you know, and all this stuff.
yeah,
That does not negate the fact that you were doing this for decades.
yeah.
I'm
That's
sorry.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm sure the jurors can, you know, can feel the same way. Like, okay, there's only so much you can blame on your addiction to all these different substances, or,
yeah,
you know, quote unquote bipolar, whatever the excuse is, because you did this repeatedly to employees, to girlfriends, to anyone around you that went against you or tried to, you know, do something differently.
yeah,
And you did things that were you knew that they were illegal. All these
yeah,
substances that were in his home, you know, it'd be one thing if he had just pot in his home. That's legal here
yeah,
in the US, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But you had things that, you know,
Yeah, crazy
just
mixtures of,
completely out of this
yeah.
world.
And not just that, have you noticed he never drank? He didn't drink alcohol. So I always think, okay, he may have been taking all the drugs and all that, but he still knew what he was doing. You can't turn it around and say, okay, I drank too much, I don't know what I was doing.
He did drink.
Well,
There's been testimonies of
you
him
know,
being drunk.
yeah, but what it is he always knew what he was doing. He can't put it down to the fact
Hmm.
that, you know, even if
Yeah,
he did,
he
I know
can't
what the
say, "Oh, I was high. I didn't know what I was doing." Bullshit. You can't.
no, not if you
No.
not if you're doing it again and again and again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? If
Right.
you're doing it repeatedly, then you know what you're doing.
Yep.
So,
It's a pattern of behavior, and
mm,
you know, I think that, you know, that's really evident throughout the past week and a half that they've been in the courtroom. It's
yeah,
become very evident the pattern of behavior that took place. It wasn't
yeah,
just isolated to Cassie, you know,
yeah,
and people. You know, and he knows this. And like I said yesterday, you know, he knows he's going away, you know,
yeah,
and he knows there's no getting out of this. He was better
mm,
off taking a plea deal and avoid the embarrassing details that are being, you know, discussed in the courtroom. But
yeah,
I think he thought, since he had so much power and control, that all these witnesses would be too afraid to testify
yeah,
and throw him under the bus.
mm,
Um, and you know, he figured, oh, they'll never say anything because they know I got the power. They know I have the connections to,
yeah,
you know, send somebody after them. You know, I don't think he really thought that anybody would speak against him, you
yeah,
know, and that's why the feds had to do the proffer agreements, you
yeah,
know, in order for people to speak the truth about what transpired. You
yeah,
know, they knew that these people needed protection. These people
yeah,
did things, even though they did them, you
yeah,
know, and they weren't legal themselves. They did it because they were told to do that, and they were threatened, you know,
yeah.
if
And
they
they're in
tried
that
to,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
I
say
mean,
otherwise.
look, anybody that is working for Diddy, if he's gonna threaten them, they're gonna just do it. They're not gonna question it because they'll be too scared to do it.
Yeah.
So obviously I mean, he just had everybody around him that were just doing it, even though that they knew it was wrong, they were still doing it. And I think at the end of the day, you can't really, well, you can kind of blame him in one sense, but then, like you say, he had bodyguards that knew what was going on. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah. And
that were doing things. Yeah,
it's sickening that
yeah,
bodyguards witnessed
yeah,
women getting attacked
yeah, yeah,
and not interfering and
yeah,
stepping in to protect them, because you know this
yeah,
man was bigger than them. These
yeah.
girls were, you know, what, 100, 110, 20 pounds at max,
I know.
you know, and you have this grown man attacking them, you know, beating
Yeah,
them up, and you're not doing anything about it.
yeah.
Why?
All right, I'm back.
That's why.
What kind?
Yeah, that's something that I can never get my head
Yeah, that's
around
sickening.
because especially with Cassie, and even if you see Gina, I mean, she's quite petite as well. She's like Cassie, you know. It's almost like he would just hurt people. He wouldn't hurt anybody that's at his same level, okay? Because that would actually mean fighting somebody properly. Now, the women, they're not going to fight back essentially at the beginning. They're just going to be like you say, Cassie would like curl up
Hmm.
when she was doing,
And just
or
try to
put her
protect
hands
her
up.
face.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of it was like that. That's what women do. Obviously,
Yep.
Cassie must have had, she must have retaliated at some
It took
point.
years
I'm
for
not
her to
saying that she
start
did.
fighting back.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think, like you say, it took her what 10 years to kind of say I can't do this anymore. And I'm surprised, she is, she's still okay, if you know what I mean. I'm sure it's going to
I
take
don't think
years of
so.
therapy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it will
She's
still take years of therapy for her to regardless of the fact that she's happy now, she's got kids, one on the way, something like that you've endured, that's not going to go just overnight. Do you know what I mean? So,
no, but it takes a lot to overcome that. And the
absolutely.
forensic psychologist spoke about that.
Yeah.
And the long-term effects of that kind
Yeah.
of trauma and abuse.
Yeah.
It goes well beyond years for them
Yeah.
to process what happened to them. I don't think Cassie realizes, you were never his girlfriend.
No.
He looked at you as an object. You may have been in love with him, but he was definitely not in love with you. He used you.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to take a while before she really comes to grip with the fact that she was just a tool in his toolbox to do what he wants with it. And he took advantage of her youth and her innocence and essentially just preyed upon her, like a wild POS,
Yeah. If like you say, I mean, he wasn't scared. He would hurt her, or he would do something in front of people. And you're talking about
yes.
mostly famous, maybe other famous things or whatever, they say that may have been, for example, when they went out to a restaurant, and there was a lot of people there. When
Yeah.
he hurt her, whatever he did to her, I can't remember. I think he may have grabbed her by the neck. I don't know, or her, or everybody would just like act as if it's normal, and that's the part that I don't understand. How could these people just say nothing?
Well, it goes to show.
No surprise,
that
no surprise that you guys can't figure out how someone can say nothing. Right? There's no surprise to me there whatsoever,
Right.
ladies. I just want to say like and subscribe whilst I've got a word in Edgewood here. Can you please make sure you like and subscribe and share this out? Court is at lunch for anyone that's looking for updates. And we've got about 10 minutes left of this today, ladies. So, yeah, you guys have had amazing input as always. So, I'll just let you go back to what you were saying, Stacey. I'm pretty sure I interrupted you, so just carry on with what you were saying.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the fact that everybody was afraid to call him out and step in and involve themselves goes to show the power and control and fear that everybody around him had of him. Kid Cudi testified today, that he knew Diddy to be violent, and, I think that's why, nobody stepped in. They knew, what he was capable of. His security team, was armed and, he had no problem carrying himself, and having arms, tucked into his pants. And people knew that. So they didn't want to step in and put their life on the line, which is sad because that's why he got away with it. But that's RICO.
Yeah.
When you have a corrupt organization that is based on crime, and that's what he did. And I wonder if the feds are going to speak on some of the different entities that Diddy operated, and if there was criminal activity found within those entities as far as financial activities and transactions that took place.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised.
I think they will. I think they have a lot more evidence, and and a lot more people will be speaking out, and I think it's just a case of just they're kind of doing it like on quite slow, but I think
Yes.
what they're doing is they're trying to get the jury to see the kind of person that this guy is, and
They
then what
don't-
he's capable of, for example, and then kind of like they're slowly kind of gonna get to all the other things. So you think about it, it's only been what, a week? How long's it been?
8 days in court.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
only been a week, and
It's definitely
there's
early
going to
days.
be a lot more coming out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
There has to
Oh,
be.
for sure. And the feds
Yeah.
aren't going to come out swinging with their best, biggest
Yeah.
piece of the pie. They're going to build up to it.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think we're going to
100%.
see more severity in the
Yeah.
coming weeks.
Definitely. I agree.
No, 100%. And listen, there's going to be some, slightly different changes to the shows this week and next week. I think what I'm probably going to do is start the first show probably about 1:00, and then end with an interview that goes on at the last section, but then have the Diddy updates and keep the girls coming in and giving the updates, because you guys are really insightful on it all, and honestly it lets me focus on people that are doing terrible things to children, and I really do appreciate the work you guys are doing. I really do.
Yeah, it's become like a job, Ron. I'm working while I do these calls.
Listen, to be honest, right? I don't want to hear the complaints. I just want to hear thanks, Ron, and that's then we move on. Okay, then we move on. Okay. Yes. No, I do. I
really do appreciate it. I never expected to be, on calls with you every day about this. But it's definitely become like an obsession. Awesome. I grew up listening to music from his label, and I was glued to the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case because I was a huge fan of Johnny Depp. I had a crush on him for the longest time, and I still do. He would be my hall pass. If I were with somebody, I would be like, listen, that's my celebrity hall pass.
No, or like 15 years ago. Like Johnny Depp now, or Johnny Depp in his prime?
Johnny Depp any age.
Oh, God damn, no. Oh, no. There's a chance.
I think he's a bit strange.
There's a chance he poops the bed. It's a slim
chance.
That
was Amber Heard that did that.
I'm just saying.
That was Amber Heard, definitely.
I would drag myself through legal battles to prove I didn't poop in the bed. All right? That's what that whole case was about for that man. I'm telling you. The essay, all of that. No, it was the pooping in the bed. You need to clear that up. That's what that was about. Okay?
That's just gross.
And did you not notice as soon as he got proved that he didn't poop in the bed, he got his career back? Everyone forgave him, right? I'm just saying there was a bunch of other stuff he got cleared of too, but I'm thinking it was the pooping in the bed that was the main concern. I'm just saying.
I think that did it, yeah.
That's the one that won us all back, right? So look, I just want to say a big thank you to the ladies for being here. I'm going to close the show and have a little chat with you guys, but honestly, I really do appreciate it, ladies. I really, really do. So thanks so much. And we will either be back with you tomorrow. We'll find out what's going on with Labor Day. Everything is at lunch just now, so we'll have the end of the day to talk about anyway. Right. So tomorrow, Fridays are my big night on the Sean Atwood channel. The daily shows will be shorter, and it's all getting pushed into the evening. Fridays, I'm going to be focusing on what Ron tends to focus on. And we've got Big Homie coming on live. We've got Bev. We've got a couple of other interviews that are Survivor and all that kind of stuff based around. Victoria might be back. Levin might be back. I just need to go and check with everybody, and we'll get crack-a-lacking. Now, on the 30th of this month, I'm dropping a documentary called How Could They?, where I'm using the verbal testimony and video recordings of Dana Foley outing the monsters that escaped justice the first time round when she exposed and imprisoned a large PDF family in Edinburgh. This was a huge case. I worked with Dana for about 4 years before she sadly passed away. And this is her final testament. This is it. And the 30th, it is going to drop. Now, all week, you're going to see YouTube channels, getting artwork updated, social media posts going out. There's going to be marketing tools. And the night it goes live, it will be available to download for everyone for free to upload anywhere, because I want this spread everywhere. Okay, I want it spread. I don't want one channel to have it, and if it gets, you know, taken down, I want this needs to be screamed. Anyone who has correspondence with any big YouTubers, any influencers, any newspapers, anyone that has got organized, anyone with a freaking Beverly Roads old school mailing list. Okay, don't ever underestimate freaking Beverly Roads and her goddamn mailing list. So anyone that you know that has anything like that, we need you all. This is the big one. This is the official push and relaunch, not relaunch, but the reactivation or the activation of the movement. So get your fingers out and get it ready, because it's about to get real fast. And yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, freaking
I
awesome.
can't wait for
Should be good.
Big Homie CC.
Yeah, it's tomorrow night.
That
That's
should be
tomorrow
good.
night. We're gonna have a bit of a
Yeah.
catch up with Big Homie. We're gonna talk about some new ops. We're gonna talk about some old ops. We're gonna talk about the documentary and all kinds of groovy stuff. It'll be going out on multiple channels, like we've always said and done before. And there is discussions of new podcasts with Big Homie, and also new content over on Big Homie's channel that I'm hoping is going to be me and a wonderful gentleman called Hard Target busting chops, because
I've heard of that.
yeah, Hard Target's freaking legend, man. He's an independent hip hop artist on YouTube, and he just became we sort of accidentally became boys when my friend Mac introduced the two of us together. And the last time was the last time I did a fireball night, and it was the night that Deanne sat and drunk 2 bottles of wine, thinking we were starting at 8 o'clock, and we didn't start till like 11 o'clock, and she sobered up and then ordered another bottle of wine to try and get back into it, and then proceeded to say nothing for 4 hours on the live stream. Legend, right? Like a legend. But man, I busted Hard Target's chops. And he was there with one of his mates. They were pissing themselves. It was all good fun. But man, as soon as I ended the live, I had to take it down off the internet. Like, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. There's just no way. Like, it was like, for example, we went through one of his music videos where he'd made it look like they were back in the Wild West, until they'd done one shot in the video where the camera was down low inside a saloon, and the whole ceiling of this saloon was like styrofoam tiles. So I'm like, you're telling me you've taken all this time to make this look like a period-based music video, and no one told you that fucking styrofoam ceiling tiles weren't invented in the Wild West. It was brilliant. He had to be there. It doesn't sound as funny when I repeat it, right? But when I'm steaming and I'm busting chops, you want to be there. Don't miss them, because they don't stay online. Absolutely not. I'm going to edit it down though, because it will make a good like 40-minute bit of content, I think. But look, thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being awesome. Like, subscribe.
Thanks so much for having us, Ron.
You're welcome. Ron's going to see what is happening later this evening. I don't know what is going on, and I'm going to go and get the marketing tools and bits ready for this documentary launching. There is also the documentary that was on the old PC. All the assets were on the old PC that I'd done with Big Homie about the occult with Beverly. That'll be coming out as well. It's just the assets are on the old PC. Not the old PC, the PC, my PC that is not working. But my nephew is coming to fix it. Yeah! So we're good.
Oh, good.
Yes. All right. Love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. And make sure you like and share. Peace out. Love you guys. Peace.